one, but it'll be
With all the details and stuff.
There's not a lot of variation of color in there, so if we could do anything just to maybe like little highlights of rust or something like that.
Here we go. And roll sound.
sound fit.
Hey, Mark.
And action. Robert.
Robert really wanted to play Tony Stark, and I really wanted him to play Tony Stark. It wasn't the most obvious choice from a studio's point of view. Unfortunately, Marvel is a new studio with a lot of freedom. We weren't dealing with the classic studio system where they have their lists that they generate. There was a lot of freedom to cast the best person for the role, because fortunately with Marvel movies, the image of the superhero is in fact the big draw, the big star. And they've learned that they've had a lot of success in the past when they've hired people who are good, interesting actors and relied upon the name of the brand itself to sort of be the thing that becomes the rallying cry from a commercial standpoint. You then are able to try to make the best movie possible.
How dare you refuse the great objects of God? You're only alive because of his generosity. You are nothing, nothing! You understand me?
People have drawn parallels to the character in his own life, but that wasn't by any means the decision or part of the criteria by which we chose him. He's a tremendous American actor who has an incredible body of work, and I think has the personality of Tony Stark. He has the look that sort of matches with the comic books. There's sort of a childlike quality to Robert. There's an imagination to Robert that is very similar to Tony Stark, who's an inventor. There's a sense of humor to Robert, which Tony shared. There's a confidence. There were just so many qualities as you began to look through the history of the comic books and who Tony Stark was, and really who Robert is as an actor and as a person.
But allowed the great Genghis Khan to rule from the Pacific to the Ukraine.
The really fun part about the cave set is the dressing inside. What is life like when you're locked up in a room like that for like 2 or 3 months? And Robert, you know, brought a lot of his own personal experience to the cave too, which was fantastic. I mean, he taught us how you make tea in prison with the nice sock, or how you make coffee, and how you play games, you make backgammon sets out of nothing, things like that.
With Robert in the Iron Man suit, we tried to keep it at a minimum for him. We'd try and keep it at a partial suit for him so he could do his acting, because it's so restrictive in that suit. And then we would let, you know, ILM fill in those blanks where the suit would be full.
Stop. 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 Come on. Please. Get up. Get up.
As an actor, I've never gone through a process like this before, because usually you have a written page and you have a definite set idea of what it's going to be like. But we really found Yinsen during rehearsals, sitting around the table and just talking. And the fantastic thing about this project has been everybody's been so open.
You maybe could shave about 90 seconds off your death would be nice, because it's a little uncomfortable leaning over there.
Well, 90 seconds?
You heard me.
Robert Downey is just a jewel. My girlfriend says, I think you're in love with him or something.
Here we go. Ready, and action!
This is our last day in here. And I remember when these walls were white and before there was set dressing in. And we were trying to figure out what the heck we're going to do in here. And it's a really cool feeling and sort of bittersweet, but satisfying when you say it's done. There's no more decisions to be made after 10 months of trying to figure out what we're going to do. But we started off here, and now coming out of here, I feel like I understand who Tony Stark is more. I think Robert does as well. And hopefully, when this whole sequence is cut together, people will totally buy that Robert is in the Iron Man suit, that he built it, and it makes sense. But you don't know. I mean, now as we just finished, I haven't seen any of the scenes cut yet. But I know that every day's work was really good and really strong, and we did better than what was in the script. So we're shooting a close-up of Robert because we can, and then we're leaving the set behind for second unit to shoot a lot of action stuff. But this was fun. There's a lot of memories in here.
in the Mark I suit was mostly Mike Justice. Mike is a strong, fit guy, and in the very beginning, he would be in it for a couple hours, and he literally was spent. It was so hard to do. I mean, imagine carrying around almost 100 pounds on your whole body and being asked to move around quickly and do fight scenes. But as he did it more, he got more in shape to do it, and there were days where he was in that suit, you know, 10, 12 hours. You know, at the end of the day, he thought, man, I feel pretty good.
Well, we finally got out of the cave, and now we're shooting at Disney Hall. It was designed by architect Frank Gehry. It's a very beautiful space. Should add a nice look to the movie. And since Tony Stark is an engineer and a designer, we felt that it was important that the locations tie into that sensibility. And when this was available to us, everybody sort of jumped at the opportunity. We have to shoot here at night, so it's going to be very gruesome, brutal shooting hours because we're shooting from dusk till dawn. And this is the first day that we're actually on nights, so I think people will be fading fast.
Mr. Stark, I was hoping I could get a reaction from you.
How's panic?
I was referring to your company's involvement in this latest atrocity.
Hey, they just put my name on the invitation.
I say the names and then I say my name, and I'm like, holy crap. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's one of those moments, like I will leave set and I'll call my agent and I'll be like, okay, dude, here's how I'm gonna break it down today. You know, like, I don't know, a man called Jeff Bridges? Yeah, in a scene with them. You know, so it's exciting. And like last week I was like, yeah, a scene with Terrence Howard and Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, I'd check it. Like, it's so good.
Hey, Potts.
What are you doing here?
Just avoiding government agents.
Are you by yourself?
Where'd you get that dress?
Oh, it was a birthday present from you, actually.
Oh, I got great taste.
Yes.
You, want to dance?
Oh, no.
All right, come
Thank
on.
you. No. The scene at Disney Hall was my first scene in the film. I had taken quite a lot of time off to be with my children and have babies and everything, so it was kind of intimidating the first scene back, to be in this extremely backless dress. It was good that in that first scene that Pepper was kind of nervous and feeling a little bit uncomfortable. I had always wanted to work with Robert. It had been kind of one of my lifelong ambitions. And when I was talking to Robert before I accepted the role, he said, you know, aren't you tired of doing these like great little movies that no one sees? Don't you want to be in a movie that people see? And I thought, you know, yeah, that would be fun.
Greedy. That's too much. You're a greedy human being.
Stan, can we get you for the B-roll? Is everything okay here for you? Are we taking care of you? Or?
I have never been taken care of this well in my life. I'm just a little bit upset knowing that eventually we're going to have to go on there again and do some acting.
Who's the best director of any Marvel movie?
Well, not only the best, but as far as I'm concerned, Jon Favreau is the only director. Unless some other director gets me a half a dozen pretty girls.
Ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to witness the art. Fantastic work. We like to keep them a bit wet, as they look even more fantastic. And action! How's it going, Hef? Oh, sorry. Thought you were someone else.
It's okay. I get this all the time. Now then, shall I get it right, probably.
Good. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a camera wrap on the creator of Iron Man.
All right, Stan Lee.
So when you hinge, I'm trying to get a camera over your right shoulder to get him. I have another camera over his right shoulder to get you.
So what would you? So I should be on this spot. This is where you're liking.
Yeah.
I've never shaved my head. Always wanted to. I saw the comic book character there, and I said, oh, well, this, you know, I'll do this. I'll talk to John about it. And John says, well, don't feel like you have to shave your head. And I said, oh, really? You know, I kind of wanted him to say, oh, yeah, you got to shave your head. But he didn't, so we kind of chipped at it. You know, we kind of took it down steps at a time. And finally, you know, took the plunge and shaved it all off, and it felt, you know, the most Obadiah-like that way. Hey, what a surprise.
I'm not going to say anything. Is that good?
I got that.
I'll see you inside.
All right, okay, yeah. And, oh,
she's got a lot to talk about.
Listen.
They say the best weapon is one you never have to fire. I respectfully disagree.
I prefer the weapon you only have to fire once. That's how Dad did it. That's how America does it, and it's worked out pretty well so far.
Wide out the whole frame.
Yes! For your consideration, the Jericho.
The Jericho, 1001, 1000, bang.
All right.
I like the test.
This here's Lone Pine, and it's doubling for what we're suggesting are the mountains of Afghanistan. I think they did Gunga Din out here. I know they did a lot of westerns out here. This particular angle works really well for Afghanistan, but if you look different ways, different rock formations make you feel like you're out in the west. Here we're on protected land, so there are a lot of parameters that we have to observe to shoot here, but the trouble that we went through is well worth it because it really gives you a look like we traveled halfway around the world.
When you get to work with the guys at the top of the field, you just go, okay, that thing's gonna blow up in back of me, and I'm gonna be okay. Or you get hit with like a little frag and everyone runs over because you're like, you know, the star of the movie, and you're like, my God, man, 10 years ago I could have gotten knocked off my ass and have stuff stuck in my skin, and people would be like, all right, back to one. Because if you're not down, then you're not out. I was pretty blown away by how much we were able to do at such close proximity, but I'll tell you, you know, it definitely helps you kick up some dust when you know what you're running away from. John brought everything. John is the primal force behind Iron Man. He's easily half the character. He's infused himself into every department. I won't say he's a gentle giant because he's very formidable, but he is the most composed person in a position of unimaginable stress that I've ever seen. He's so gracious and so evolved.
Robert, you're just such a good actor. You got that?
That said, he's a pain in my ass. He's checking his goddamn BlackBerry and texting and putting things up on MySpace while I'm out there dying. But he's that kind of big brother, too. You know, it's like he didn't call me out to, you know, pitch for his team and then, like, come and, you know, ice my wrist when it got sore. He's like, you're a grown man. This is going to be really hard. I told you it was. And sometimes I'm 1,000,000% there for you, and sometimes I'm just going to watch you do whatever you're going to do. Because it's not up to me to take care of your feelings. You're a grown man.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I tell you.
It's pretty good.
Working with actors in the military sense, I don't try to make them warriors from the ground up. What I do is I focus in on the skills required to shoot the scene. They are actors, after all. They only need to know how it's done, and then as actors, they will pick up on it.
I started just pushing down, and, you know, these things are firing like 40 rounds a second. And I'm holding it down, but that will make the barrel very high, you know, so you have to do it in bursts. And his whole thought was, die, mother, die, mother. Huge gun. I mean, you feel your teeth shatter afterwards. It's incredible.
Thank you,
everybody, crew of Iron Man. Excellent week. Really great week, guys. That is a wrap.
What's on here, Coach?
A little windy today. Wasn't like this when we scouted it. We're gonna shoot Tony landing in the sand dunes after he escapes from the cave, and then walking through the desert. We got 2 Marine helicopters coming out here. I don't know if we're gonna be able to land them.
Here we go. Pictures up.
It was sandstorming and it was kicking up so hard, and I just remember laying there buried waist deep in all this gear. And I just remember I was inside the helmet, and I just had this great moment of gratitude to kind of the elements and what a privilege it was to be able to be there playing this guy with the caliber of people I was working with.
Special effects. We got this.
We need 3 cakes to fill all the candles.
Light it up.
I just said, wow, man, what a cool deal. What a cool suit, what a great crew, what a blast.
Yeah. Come on now.
Tony Stark.
Okay, there's a cut. Yeah, quick. They're clear. Wardrobe is a boot down there. See you on the next location.
We've been out here in the sand dunes. It's been a windstorm. There have been a couple of semis slipping over on the highway. The winds were kicking up to about 50 miles per hour. So everybody's making do. We all goggled up, and everybody's been a real trooper, and they're out here working. We've had cranes swinging out of control, and today we're just on sticks because it was just too windy for any equipment more than that.
Really? Is that Terrence?
The highway's closed. They flew him in.
Just a brutal day. Very indicative, honestly, of what the circumstances are like in Afghanistan. So it actually kind of, rang true, I guess, to what things are really like there.
Well, 395, something must have flipped, and they had to send a helicopter for me.
Yeah, how was the ride?
It was incredible. The doors are open. My assistant almost cried.
We brought in a couple HH-60 Pave Hawk helicopters. We're actually, pararescuemen and real helicopters and shooters on that, that do that stuff for real, came in and were part of that scene.
When we get out of that helicopter, the first breath you take in is half filled with sand. And your lungs fill up with it immediately. And the cameras are on you, and we've got 10 minutes to get this whole shot. And you've got to run across the desert. Now, if anybody's ever ran in the sand on the beach, they know how hard that is. Now imagine running up a sand dune with your lungs half filled with sand.
The second day, when Raza recovers the suit, the winds were so violent that we couldn't really use any equipment. And Lou Desposito, our executive producer, was like, let's go to a recover set, as you would if it rained. I felt that all of that wind, that heavy wind, was a very haunting image, and so we put goggles on all the bad guys and wrapped them with scarves so that, to help protect the performers, and also that's really what they would wear, and we just let it play. And as a result, it has such a great visual quality that if you wrote that into a script, you could never really achieve that. You can't put enough Ritter fans in there to make that kind of wind. But when it really lands there in your lap, I think as a director, you have to take advantage of those opportunities.
Time for Iron Man to get out of Dodge.
This walk of destruction, what is it like being inside that suit, shooting flames with the armor on? How does it feel?
It's an awesome feeling. It feels
powerful, you're just burning stuff, nothing. You almost have a false sense of security because you really feel super protected by the suit in a way that the boys over at Stan Winston designed it. I can move pretty well in it for as much as it weighs, and the special effects guys rigged me up, just making me look like a bloody stud so I can flow out some flames, and it's an awesome feeling.
Take a couple of hits, and then, like
you know what? It's history. This one I'm doing for my kids. They're gonna watch this and go, "That's you, Dad?" I'm just digging it. Hi, Taylor. Hi, Tristan. Hi, Mom. Awesome. I love this. Just from wear and tear, we got a little tear in one of the lines and it spit fuel, which being under pressure kept spraying on my legs, and I ignited. And I kind of felt, well, that feels a little hot. Maybe not. Yep, it's hot. It was, an unfortunate thing, but Keith Boulard and Tommy Harper had all the boys set out to take care of me. They put me out.
Hi there, here's today's Daily Fact. As of 2019, the number of films in the MCU seem countless, with so many Avengers films along with standalone movies with characters that range from Ant-Man to Doctor Strange. But the very first film in the universe was back in 2008, with AC/DC blaring in the background and Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark wearing the famous Iron Man suit. Remember to click below to subscribe.